Hello, hello, this is Jen. I hope everybody's good. I'm here with an energy update, quick update. Thank you for being here. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're not new. Um, let's just get into it. We're still dealing with the equinox energies plus a mix of other stuff. There's a full moon coming up. I can't remember the date. I think it's the 13th or something like that, October 13th. Uh, this past new moon that we had felt more like a full moon, where a lot of people were triggered into purging and releasing and dealing with some old stuff from the past, trying to heal what happened in the past. I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 5 years, trying to bring peace and harmony and forgiveness to these years where a lot of people got hurt and got into separation from themselves, separation with their twin flames. Um, it was just a weird time to be alive, to be on earth, to say the least. Huge years of transformation, mostly. And this update is about remembering that there's a timing, a divine timing to everything. There's no way around that. There's no way to speed things up or to go back in the past or to bring back the past, to change something, to try to do things differently. We just have to deal with it, forgive, and move on. Not necessarily forget, because it's sometimes good to remember the lessons that we had to go through, right? To be wiser and to be able to recognize those lessons when they come back. This is a huge phase of being tested, being able to master ourselves, master our energy, master our spiritual ascension, which is an ongoing process. And each time I say that, I know I'm repeating myself, but it is. It doesn't stop. As long as we're alive, it doesn't stop. We'll go through phases of purging, releasing, having to forgive, having to be in compassion with people that are stealing energy from us because they're just awakening. They are at a different level and they don't understand things the way others do. That's part of the game. That's part of being a human being, and that's part of being what people call awakened. Like, to me, everybody is mostly awakened, basically awakened, like awakened at different levels. Some seem to be dead asleep, but they're still awakened somehow. They're alive. Unless you have no soul, you are awakened in one way or another. And I don't know if some people are here with no souls, but there's a theory on that they are. But I'm not here to talk about this. It's mostly about the divine timing, that we need to accept things the way they are. We need to accept our path the way it is unfolding without resistance, compassion. So that seems a lot like the message I had in my last video, somehow. But really, this time around, divine timing is really huge in this game right now, that we need to be able to step back and just look at things and say, okay, I've been through this kind of situation before. What did I learn from it? What am I going to do this time around? What am I going to do differently this time around? And the answer always lies in being in compassion and in our heart. Until we reach that end or that level of, I'm at the end of my rope here, and even if I'm being in compassion, nothing is changing. Therefore, I'm just going to let it go. And it's when we let go that things start happening. It's when we hang on to things with our mind and our ego, thinking that it should be one way. And then we get disappointed because it's not the way we imagined, that we start resisting. The divine timing that is at play right now is just asking us to let go of the resistance and just go truly, truly go with the flow. Go with the flow. Roll with the punches. Do whatever you can to just get out of the way. Just stay on the wave. Imagine you're surfing. Stay on the wave. Do whatever you need to stay on the wave until it breaks. And then when it breaks, that's the beginning of a new cycle. That's the beginning of something different, a new layer, new lessons, or new karma that needs to be either learned or cleared. So it's what's today's date? October 8th. So from today until the end of the month, we just need to just stay in compassion and accept the divine timing of things, especially if you're in a twin flame connection. There's no way that you can make things go faster or the way that you want. You need to accept that you're not in control. The only thing that you can control is your own energy, the way you act towards other people, but also towards yourself. That's the only way that we truly control. That's what self-mastery is, and that's what spiritual ascension is that the more you learn about yourself, the more you are a master of yourself and your energy, the easier it gets to be in compassion, easier it gets to be in your heart and to stand in your heart most of the time. I want to say 100% of the time, but I'm not sure that's really possible because we're humans. I mean, we do have an ego that will always be there. Even if we talk about the ego death and letting go of the ego, that is one thing. But we do need ego for some situations. We do need it for, I want to say some guidance, but alignment. That's a better word. We need it for alignment. So I don't think ego can never die, and we will always go through cycles of being triggered and really triggered. And we are in one right now. We are being faced with where we still have some work to do, some weaknesses, some lack. And what we see in other people, we have. We need to care for that. So when our ego shows up in a game, in a situation or internal conversation that we have with ourselves, what we need to do is just listen to what that ego is trying to show us and either do the complete opposite. When it's trying to keep us in fear, we need to be confident or understand that the ego is there to show us a trigger so that we can transmute and transform that trigger into something higher and something more positive. So accepting that the divine timing is the major role, the major leader in everything that we do, is making this ascension path and process a lot easier. And at this point, a lot of people are changing their path, changing their tracks, just because for some, for others, they have realized that the path they thought was their on, or they thought they were on the right path, they now see that no, it was their ego. And that goes for the twin flame. That goes for the divine masculine. They are seeing things so very differently than a few months ago. And for a lot of them, they are trying to find a way to get in contact for those that are in separation. They are seeing how some situations have created the triggers that they had and they couldn't face. And they now see and think, wow, I'm a different person now. I'm a different human being. And how do I fix this now? Because that's a big question. How do I fix it? And really, the only answer to that I want to say for twins that are in separation is let go of your ego. Put it aside for a second. Reach out. Give the olive branch, sorry. Apologize, be in compassion, ask for forgiveness. Use any kind of method to reach forgiveness towards yourself and towards others to make things right. It's easy to say, not as easy to do, but really, as people, living beings, and human beings, if we don't let the space for forgiveness, I mean, we're going to live a very miserable life. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive others for what they have done to us. And we need to ask for forgiveness for what we've done to others. Nobody's perfect. And a lot of people are realizing that the work they have done is not completed. Because a lot of people have been on a track of thinking, yeah, but I've done so much work. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't want to sound negative when I say that, but it's this kind of work never ends. And there's so many layers to this process. It's like a huge onions with so many layers. And I don't think anybody can tell you how many layers you need to go through before you reach your goal, before you reach that space of, I feel good, I feel that I'm healed, I feel that I'm ready. It takes time, it takes years, it takes months, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. But when it's done in love and with love, it's much easier. And we see things on the positive side instead of being, yeah, but this is so much work. That's your ego talking. That's your ego. And if you just let yourself go into that path of least resistance and just go with the flow, whether that is purging or for healing yourself, or whether it's pushing forward so you can discover who you truly are, you're going to be in that energy of, I manifest things, I create things. And that on its own, it's a huge motivation to keep moving forward and to keep doing that kind of work, because the more you discover, the happier you get, the lighter you get. And that's where you can see the changes showing up in your life. And you see changes on all levels. Physically, your body will change, your face will change, the way you eat will change. As you do this work, the lighter you eat, usually, maybe it's not for everybody, but I don't think I've ever seen someone who's done a lot of work on themselves eating badly or poorly. It's the body, that's what the body wants, to be able to stay in a higher vibration. So at this time, at this point, the physical symptoms are very different for everyone, but still having trouble sleeping, being dizzy, or having that high pitch frequency in your ear, having trouble being in balance physically, like when you stand up, like you losing your balance very easily, because we are integrating so much since the equinox and the new moon, integrating so much new energy, so much. Like the collective is like a colony of ants just working and working and working. And if you're very sensitive, you're picking up on that. If you're in a twin flame connection, you may start feeling how the harmony between the divine masculine and feminine, and I'm referring to the energy inside, how that harmony is becoming very real at this point. You may also see yourself changing, acting in ways that you don't even know where it's coming from. It most probably is coming from your twin flame connection. It's coming from somewhere. If it's not from you, it's either twin flame, the collective, or people in your surrounding. Notice how much influence you have on people around you. So do they. They influence us. And when we look at the divine masculine, they're feeling that too. They have a very, very clear image of who they want to be with. They have a very clear image of what they need to let go of. And again, it's another layer for them for karmic situations to be released, either in regards to romantic relationships, business relationship, or anything related to work, anything related to karma, whether it's with family members, with friends or coworkers, or even ex-girlfriends and ex-boyfriends. They are seeing things very differently. They are taking a huge step, a huge distance from those situations. And they've reached, for a lot of them, they've reached a point where they say, enough is enough. I'm not taking this any longer. And unfortunately, for some of them, they are dealing with very, I'm going to be careful with the words I'm choosing right now, but they're dealing with very strong karmic people. Let's put it this way. Some of them are very needy, demanding, because they haven't gone through their own awakening process far enough, and they are trying to attach and latch on, and they don't want to let go. But the divine masculine, a lot of them, they are seeing this game. They are seeing how long this game has been going on in their lives. For some of them, it's years. For some of them, it's decades. And they're like, no, this is not what I want for the rest of my life. Therefore, I need to put an end to this. And I am putting an end to this by choosing me. And that's a huge breakthrough for them, because a lot of divine masculine were unable to choose themselves. Even though it may seem differently, if you're in separation, it may seem like they've chosen themselves by running away, by separating. But in fact, it's because they didn't know how to choose themselves that they did that. They were afraid. They needed to, be in their own familiar surrounding and own bubble, and not think about that situation and energy that is so triggering. But now this is changing. This is flipping around. This is they're seeing very clearly, and they're like, oh my God, how did, thinking about their own twin flame, how did this person was able to go through all of this? For some of them, there is still a little bit of work when it comes to self-worth. So if you are on your end at this point feeling like I'm not worthy, feeling why would I deserve any positive things, or if you feel low when it comes to self-worthiness, I encourage you to shift that and work on it and shift that energy, heal that part of yourself, so that a ripple effect can happen in your connection. And doing it for your twin flame is not a right reason. Doing it for yourself first is. It won't work anyway. It's when you do it, truly do it for you first, with all the intentions of being in balance and in harmony with yourself, that it really has an effect on your twin flame. It doesn't work otherwise. It really doesn't. And that, again, is part of the divine timing. You can't fake this. You're part of this or you're not, but you can't do the work halfway. It's not going to work. And to me, the way I feel it, the way I live it, is when you start doing that kind of work, that kind of really profound and deep transformation work, you don't want to stop. No matter how hard it is, you don't want to stop. It is so liberating, rewarding, that when you have a feeling that makes you feel like you're unworthy or any kind of negative emotions, you're able to deal with it much more faster. And that's another thing. At this point in the game, we're clearing and we're purging and we're releasing so much faster than we used to before. Whatever took days before, it's now taking hours. And soon enough, in 2020, it's going to take minutes and seconds. You may have noticed that if you've been purging lately. If you've been having those little phase of crying, like just like at the beginning of your own awakening when you were purging but you didn't understand what was happening, you may have been feeling that in the past week. You may have been feeling that coming back again, but it cleared pretty quickly, almost right away. That's where we're at. That's a huge sign that a lot of work is being done, and we need to keep going. We need to keep doing the work. So is the divine masculine. That's what they're doing for themselves, for their kids, for their family, for their businesses. A lot of them are at a point where they think, I've never been this low, like rock bottom, and they know that there is no other way but going up. And they needed to go there to understand who they really are, to see their own truth, their soul's truth. Whatever they were unable to see before because they were so busy and because there was so much noise from their ego. Now it's clear. They may not feel ready to be in the romantic relationship just yet, but that part of themselves of, okay, it is doable, it is possible, is totally activated. And like I said, for some, they are trying to find ways to communicate with their own twin. They've done enough cleaning and clearing that they're almost ready to meet again. And this is great. So again, it's by doing the work that things can shift and change. It's not by complaining, and it's by being in love and compassion. Once again, it's the answer to a lot of things, if not almost everything. Being in compassion for yourself, for others, showing love to yourself and others by making the right choices, which is not always easy to do. Sometimes we get interference. Sometimes we get like out of alignment with our own selves and we don't see clearly anymore. We should be able to recognize these signs and be able to know what works for us when we get in those situations, when we get in those emotions of being lost. Most of the time, resting will help a lot. Meditation and just pure physical rest while eating clean and sleeping as much as we can, or having like quality sleep. So for the physical symptoms, a lot of activity happening on the left side of the body to try to reach another layer of harmony between the masculine and feminine, like really a big merge of these two energies. And that's on all level, as above, so below. So if you are in a divine soul connection with someone, that is reflected in that connection. Your body is like, our body is like an antenna, and very sensitive people, hypersensitive people are more aware of this antenna, and their body is really translating whatever is going on the spiritual level and in the energies. And when we become aware of that process, we are able to put into words whatever we feel. And that's also part of having activating our spiritual gifts, is knowing what's going on in our body. And it's not always clear. It's not always like black and white. Sometimes it takes some time to get the answers, or we need to get a synchronicity, but it's totally doable. And talking about synchronicity, a lot of synchronicities have been delivered this week, and you may have seen signs related to twin flames or to your soul connection, like really huge, obvious signs, like seeing a car plate that's written TF, or twin flames or something like that, something really, really clear that just shows up in your awareness without searching for it. This week was big on that, and it was delivery to tell us to keep moving forward, to keep doing our stuff, doing our work. Things are moving much more quickly than they were, and they will keep on moving quickly. So I know a lot of people are feeling that kind of pressure, like there's so much energy transmuting, passing through my body. I don't even know what to do with myself. I have those days sometimes. For me, what works is keeping grounded and meditation, whatever physical activity that connects me with my heart and my body. Because being in the clouds all the time won't do any good. Even though we need to go there at times to understand stuff and get some answers, being there all the time won't help. We need to go back or come back on earth and live a human life. At the end of the day, we are humans. So, yeah, so many things happening, so many things at different levels, like always, like always. So that's it for now. Thank you for being here. You can follow me on social media at Indigo Girl 555 on Instagram, Indigo Girls Readings on Facebook. You can also reach out by email if you want to book a reading, indigogirl555 at gmail.com. And until the next time, be well.